Dear students, welcome to the second session of Browser Object Model. In the previous session, we discussed about what Browser Object Model is. So in case of Browser Object Model, the default object of each browser is the corresponding window. And we already discussed that if a web page is having frames in it, it will consider each frame as a separate window. So in case of browser object model, the main object is window. Then in addition to the window, the objects like navigator, then location, history, all these things should support the corresponding browser's window object. We discussed about the different types of methods available in each of the corresponding objects. Today we are moving on to the continuation of this browser object model. Let us see browser object model timing events. BOM timing events. The window object supports events for setting time intervals, and these timing intervals are called timing events. So in case of browser object model, it treats window as the corresponding default object. And we can set some time intervals for the different types of events that can be occurred on a window, and these time intervals can be termed as timing events. Now we can see what all are the functions that can be used for setting the time events. We are having mainly three methods: set timeout function, set interval function, clear timeout function. We will see the first one. Set timeout. Set timeout is a function which takes two arguments. The first argument is a function call and second is a duration value that is expressed in milliseconds. So here what happens is, if you are setting this set timeout function with window object, so the window will call this particular function at this particular millisecond from now. So whenever this function is set timeout function is executed, from that time onwards, this much duration hours, this particular function will be called. The function which is set as a first argument will be called. Move on to the second function, set interval function. Set interval function also takes two arguments. The first argument is a function name or is a function call, and the second argument is duration. So what happens if you are setting set interval with window object is, this set interval function calls the first argument function after every duration milliseconds. For example, if you are setting window.set interval of my function comma 5, window.set interval of my function comma 5. So what happens here, it is at every 5 milliseconds my function will be invoked. The function my function will be invoked in every 5 seconds. That is set interval function. Now we can see the next function, clear timeout. Clear timeout function takes an argument called timeout. So this function clears any timer set by the set timeout function. So this clear timeout function is used for clearing the timer which should be set by the set timeout function. Now we can see the browser version. The app version property returns version information about the browser. So app version is a particular property which can be used with browser object, and it will return version information about the browser. Normally this app version information is used with navigator object. Here we are having an example code with this doc type HTML. HTML in the body of the corresponding HTML, we are having a header function, the navigator object. Then the app version property returns version information about the browser, that is the text in the corresponding paragraph. After that, we are having a paragraph with ID demo. Now we are having a paragraph with ID is equal to demo, and there will be no text in this particular paragraph, and the paragraph is closed. Then comes the script tag. Inside the script tag, we are having a statement like this: document dot get element by ID demo dot inner HTML is equal to navigator dot app version. So what happens in the corresponding statement is it will extract, the script will extract navigator.app version. So it will extract the version information about the corresponding browser, and that thing should be placed in the inner HTML. That value should be placed in the inner HTML of demo ID. So that means after the executing this particular web page, the app version description should be in the text of this particular paragraph. In addition to the app version object, we can use some other uh, properties that can be accessed from the browser. Browser application name. Browser application name can be extracted using a function called app name property. So the app name property returns the application name of the browser. So we can use with the corresponding window object dot app name property, then the application name of the browser will be displayed. The next is browser application code name. We have a property called app code name. Using the app code name property, it returns the application code name of the browser. Another property is related to the browser engine. The browser engine. The product property returns the product name of the browser engine. So if you are using the product property with window object, it will return the product name of browser engine. The next functionality is the browser agent. The user agent property returns the user agent header sent by the browser to the server. So if you are using user agent property with an window object, so what happens is it will returns the user agent header sent by the browser to the corresponding server. The next is the browser platform. So in order to access the browser platform, we are having a property called platform property. The platform property returns the browser platform. That means on which operating system the corresponding browser works. The browser language. By using the language property, it will returns the browser's language. So we can access the language property using any window object. So it will retrieves the corresponding language used by the browser. Then next is the browser online? If we want to check whether our browser is online, we have to call the online property with a window object. The online property returns true if the browser is online. So this online produces a Boolean value. If the browser is online, it produces a true value. Otherwise, it produces a false value. Is Java enabled? So we can check a browser whether the Java browser is compatible for Java applet programming or Java programs. For that, we have to use a method called Java enabled. The Java enabled method returns true if Java is enabled in the browser. So Java enabled function is also produces a Boolean value. If the browser is compatible with Java, it will produces a true value. Otherwise, it will produces a false value. So these are various methods which will be related to browser, and these methods are accessing the browser information. Browser application name, browser application code name, browser engine, browser agent, browser platform, browser language, is the browser online, is Java enabled, like that. So far we discussed about BOM and the different objects which are related to BOM. Now we can see one of the important features that are available in a browser. So in our browser there will be a storage facility for storing some values which will be input, which will be related to the corresponding user of the browser. So that files are termed as cookies. Cookies are data which are stored in small text files on your computer. So, for example, if you are using a particular site regularly, and if for using that particular website, you have to provide your username and password. So every time you are providing the corresponding username and password to access that particular website. But cookies in browsers would help you to remember your username with your password in a particular by storing the corresponding details in a particular file. So that if you first enable cookie with your browser, and if you are logging that to a particular site by providing your username and password, the next time onwards, if you are trying to specify your username by pressing your first letter, suppose if it is FISAT, and by pressing the first letter F, the name itself should appear on the, automatically the name should be appeared on the corresponding field. So that facility can be enabled in browsers by setting cookies. So cookies means these are data stored in small text files on your computer. So when a web browser has sent a web page to a browser, the connection is shut down and the server forgets everything about the user. So when a web server has sent a web page to a browser, so if the browser is requesting some web page from the web server, what web server do? Web server will process that particular request and give back a web page to the corresponding requested browser. So after giving back the requested item, the connection between server and client is closed. And the server will forget everything about the corresponding user as well as that particular request. So uh, this particular request should be only remembered by the corresponding browser, because the browser is making that particular request, and browser will remember that particular request by the implementation of cookies. So cookies were invented to solve the problem how to remember information about the user. How to remember information about the user. So when a user visits a web page, his name can be stored in a cookie. So whenever a particular user is visiting a web page, his name can be stored in a cookie. Next time the user visits the page, the cookie remembers his name. And cookies are saved in name value pairs like username is equal to Daniel Matthew. So whenever a browser requests a web page from a server, cookies belonging to the page is added to the corresponding request. This way the server gets the necessary data to remember information about the users. But this cookie file is stored in the browser itself. So whenever a browser make a request towards a web page from a server, cookies belonging to that particular web page is added along with the corresponding request, so that the server get an information about who is requesting that particular web page, and user is or the server is trying to remember the information about that particular user. Now we can see the different types of cookies and its uses. Cookies are mainly of two types: session cookies and persistent cookies. Session cookies means these are cookies set with expiry field and destroyed when the user quits the browser. So there will be an expiry field, and that particular cookie will be destroyed when the user quits that particular browser. Then another type of cookie is persistent cookie. So this type of cookies are set with an expiry date, and this cookie will maintain until that particular date. So session cookie means session cookies are having a limited period. So whenever the user quits that particular browser, the cookie will expire. That type of cookies are termed as session cookies. So session cookies are normally used to traverse from if for a particular website, if we log in with my name, and that name should be appeared in different pages, that can be set as a session cookie. If my name is set as a session cookie, so whenever I log in that particular site, towards my traversal to the end, the corresponding session cookie will maintain. After closing that particular browser, this cookie will be automatically destroyed. That type of cookies are termed as session cookies. Persistent cookies means these are cookies that are set with an expiry date. So this type of cookie will be maintained until that particular date. So whenever the browser is closed or whenever it is open, if that date is reached, then then only the corresponding cookie will expire. Then cookies can be used for authentication, session tracking, remember specific information about user like his name, password, last visited date, etc. So cookies can be used for setting the authentication details, session tracking details, remember a specific information about the user like his name, password, last visited date, etc. Now we can see how we can create a cookie with JavaScript. So JavaScript can create, read and delete cookies with document.cookie property. With JavaScript, a cookie can be created like this. So we are dealing with the JavaScript language. So in JavaScript, we can create cookie using the state expression document.cookie is equal to what should be the corresponding field name. Username is equal to John Doe. So here it mentions that we are trying to save the cookie, or the data is username and the value for that data is John Doe. We can also add an expiry date in UTC time. For cookies, we can also set the expiry time. By default, the cookie is deleted whenever the corresponding browser is closed. If we want to make a long expiry towards that particular data, we have to set that corresponding expiry date like this. Document.cookie is equal to username is equal to Joe semicolon expires. We set the expires property. Expires is equal to, we have to specify the day first, then the date, month and the year, then what time. After that, time in our minute second format, and this time should be taken in the format of UTC. So likewise, we can set an expiry date for a cookie data. With a path parameter, you can tell the browser what path the cookie belongs to. So if you are specifying a path parameter in document.cookie session, so that the browser can understand what path or what should be the URL for that particular cookie. By default, the cookie belongs to the current page. So we can set like this: document.cookie is equal to username is equal to Jodo semicolon, expires is equal to Thursday 18 December 2013 12 UTC semicolon, path is equal to hash, path is equal to slash, which means the current page. Likewise, we can set the path, or we can specify a URL here. If that cookie is belonging to some other web page, we can specify the URL here. Then how we can read a cookie with JavaScript? So initially we studied how we can create a cookie. Now we can see how we can read a cookie with JavaScript. With JavaScript, the cookies can be read like this: variable x is equal to document.cookie. Likewise, we can read a cookie. Then change a cookie with JavaScript. With JavaScript, you can change a cookie the same way as you create it. Like this: document.cookie is equal to username is equal to John Smith, expires Thursday 18 December 2013 12 UTC, path. So what happens here, it is in the previous slide we create a cookie with username John Doe. Here we are trying to override that particular username as John Smith. So what happens here, it is the existing data in the corresponding cookie will be override with the new value. So at present the username is having the value John Smith. That is, the old cookie is overwritten. Then let us see how we can delete a cookie with JavaScript. You don't have to specify a cookie value when you delete a cookie. Just set the expires parameter to a past date. If you want to delete a cookie with JavaScript, it is very easy. Just set your cookie's expire date with an old date, so that the cookie will be expired automatically. Here there is an example: document.cookie is equal to username is equal to semicolon, expires is equal to Thursday 1 January 1970 UTC, path is equal to slash. So this means that this particular cookie will be deleted from the browser. You should define the cookie path to ensure that you delete the right cookie. So whenever you are deleting the particular cookie, it should be better you have to specify the path. Otherwise, there may be chances for some mismatches. Some browsers will not let you delete a cookie if you don't specify the path. Sometimes some browsers will not be able to uh, give permission to delete a cookie if you are not specifying the correct URL. So it is better, or it is safe, to provide path name with the cookie statement for deletion. So far we discussed about how we can create a cookie, how to read a cookie, how to change a cookie with JavaScript, and how to delete a cookie with JavaScript. Now we are move on to the JavaScript cookie example. In the example, we will create a cookie that stores the name of a visitor. The first time a visitor arrives to a web page, he will be asked to fill in his name. The name is then stored in a cookie. The next time the visitor arrives at the same page, he will get a welcome message. So this is a particular example. And if a visitor is arriving first time towards a particular web page, he will be asked to fill his name. Then that name will be stored as a cookie, and the next time the visitor arrives at the same page, the visitor will get a welcome message. For example, we will create three JavaScript functions. So these are the three functions: a function to set a cookie value, a function to get a cookie value, and a function to check a cookie value. So one is for setting the cookie value, second is for retrieving the cookie value, and third function is used for checking the corresponding cookie value. So we are having a code snippet here. So inside the code, we can see that under the head session, the script is specified. Function set cookie. So function set cookie is there, which contains three parameters: C name, that is the cookie name; C value, it may be refers to the value for that particular cookie; X days. So X days can be mentioned as the expiry days. So variable D is equal to new date. So variable D is set with a new date. Then D dot set time, D dot get time plus expiry days into 24 into 60 into 60 into 1000. Then variable expires is equal to expires plus D dot to GMT string. Then document dot cookie is equal to C name equal to C value expires path slash. So the parameters of the function set cookie are the name of the cookie, that is C name, the value of the cookie, that is C value, and the number of days until the cookie should expire, that is mentioned as X days. So what happens in the function is the function set a cookie by adding together the cookie name, cookie value, and the expire string. So in the set cookie function, we are having a cookie name, the corresponding cookie value, and the expiry date. So variable D is equal to new date. So it will create D as a date object. Then D dot set time. D dot set time of D dot get time. At present, what should be the current time plus expiry days. That should be the third parameter in multiplied with 24 hours, 60 minute, 60 seconds should be multiplied with 1000, 1000 for getting the corresponding milliseconds. So variable expires is equal to expires plus D dot to GMT string. So we already set D with a particular time value like this, and it will be converted to GMT string. Then after that, document.cookie is equal to C name equal to C value plus it should be appended with the corresponding expiry date and the path. The next function is, I've already told you that three functions are there. One is for setting the cookie, second is for getting the cookie, and third function is used for checking the value of the cookie. So move on to the second function. Second cookie function is get cookie function, which contains a single parameter, that is cookie name. Here variable name is equal to C name plus equal to variable decoded cookie is equal to decode URI component of document.cookie. Then variable CA is equal to decoded cookie dot split semicolon. For variable I is equal to 0, I less than CA dot length I plus plus. Variable C is equal to CA of I, while C dot caret 0 is equal to null string. C is equal to substring of C dot substring of 1, that is in the while loop. If C dot index of name is equal to 0, it will return C dot substring name.length c.length return. So this particular get cookie function take cookie name as the parameter. So that means cname as a parameter. It will create a variable name with a text to search for cname. So what should be the cookie name? That is cookie name appended with equal to should be stored in name variable. Then after that, decode the cookie string to handle cookies with special characters. So in the third statement of that particular code, it mentions about decoding the cookie string to handle cookies with special characters. For example, dollar symbol, like dollar symbols, or exclamatory symbols or at symbols like that. Then split the document.cookie on semicolons into an array called CA. So the next statement is used for splitting the document cookie based upon the semicolons, and it will be treated as an array. Splitted data should be treated as an array, and that array is called CE. So after that, we are having a for loop, a loop through the corresponding CA array. I is equal to 0, I less than CO dot length, I plus plus, and read out each value C is equal to CA of I. CA of I means we have to read the value from each index position of the array. If the cookie is found, C dot index of name is equal to 0. So if the cookie is found with the corresponding value, it will return the value of the cookie using the function C dot substring of name dot length, comma C dot length. If the cookie is or the corresponding cookie name is not found, it will return null string back to the corresponding caller or invoking line. So inside this particular get cookie function, we are get cookie function will take a parameter which is used to identify whether we have to identify this particular cookie name or cookie value from the uh, browser cookie file. So here that thing should be mentioned as cname. So in this particular function, what they have to do is cookie name should be appended with equal to sign. Then after that, it will decode the cookie string to handle the cookies with special characters. Then after that, it will split the cookie document cookie based upon semicolon, and this splitting data should be stored in an array. So if you want to access the elements from the array, we set a particular for loop, and if the cookie is found with function c dot index of name is equal to 0, then what happens is it will generate the value or it will return back the value of cookie. If the cookie is not found in the corresponding cookie file, it will returns a null string. And this is the last function which is related to cookie, function check cookie. Here inside the function, variable user is equal to get cookie of username. So if user is not equal to null value, alert welcome again plus user, else user is equal to prompt, please enter your name. If user not is equal to null value and if user not is equal to null, set cookie of username user 365. Then script is closed, head is closed, body on load, check cookie. So if the cookie is set, it will display a greeting like this, welcome again. If the cookie is not set, it will display a prompt box asking for the name of the user, and that particular username will be stored for 365 days by calling the set cookie function. So here what here happening is we are going to check the cookie. So in order to check the cookie, we have to access the corresponding username from the corresponding document. If the username is a null value, not equal to, if the username is not equal to a null value, it will produces an alert message like welcome again. Otherwise, it will happen, what happened in the corresponding document is a prompt will be arrived by specifying the term please enter your name, and if user inputs the corresponding name, that name will be set as the value for username, and that will be stored for 365 days. So likewise, we can check cookies in the corresponding cookie file. We will see the different types of cookie attributes. Username is equal to value, and it is a user identification information. Expires is equal to date. So it can be used for the setting the expiration date in the form of UTC. If you don't set the corresponding expiration term, cookies are deleted whenever the browser is closed, and this type of cookies are termed as session cookies. Then domain is equal to domain, the domain for which cookie is valid. In case is it not specified, the host name of the server is automatically considered. Then path is equal to path. This specifies the path where the cookie is valid. By default, it will be set as slash directory, and that means the current page. For specific subdomains, the path need to be added. If we want to make any other path, that will be correctly specified by the attribute path. Then secure. Setting secure action will make the cookie to be returned only over encrypted HTTP connections. This way it will protect other scripts accessing the cookie, which will enhance the corresponding security. And these are the cookie attributes. This is just an example for setting cookies. Name 1 is equal to value 1 semicolon. Name 2 is equal to value 2 semicolon. Name 3 is equal to value 3. Likewise, we can set cookies for a particular document. Here an example is there. The document.cookie is equal to username is equal to WSA, expires is equal to a particular date and time, then path is equal to slash, domain is equal to example.com. Likewise, we can set cookies. There is an important note. The document.cookie gives valid value only when the page is hosted from a server. Use bracket for testing cookies and host pages from SAM web servers. Now we can see what all are the limitations of cookies. Cookies can identify the computer being used, not the individual. So cookie is associated with the browser, so that the browser is a component in the corresponding computer. So cookies should be able to identify the computer where it is used, but it should not be able to identify the individual that is using the corresponding browser. Cookies cannot access by any other computer except the visitor's computer that created the cookie. So if one computer has created a cookie file, that cookie file cannot be accessed by any other computers. The total number of cookies a browser can store at one time from one particular site is limited to 20. So for a particular website, the number of cookies that can be stored by a browser is limited to 20. And each cookie is limited to about 4,000 characters. In cookie session, each cookie value should be limited only up to 4,000 characters. It will not consider more than 4,000 characters. And these are the cookie limitations. Hope you understood the session which will be related to browser object model and the cookies. Thank you.